Welcome to Wesley Impact. Great to have you joining us again. Later on, I'm going to be thinking about the cost of discipleship. And we're going to look at Wesley Mission's mentoring work through a men's woodwork shed, a programme that's been run in Sydney's West. And we catch up again with Aussie truck driving instructor and Shed Happens ministry founder, Ian Watto Watson. Ian spent the last decade, really, setting up sheds all across the country. He chatted to us last year, and he's come back to share the release of his new book, Every Bloke's a Champion, Even You, and you see it on the screen now. Ian, it's great to have you on the show. What is it about this book that you think is important?
Good to be here with you, Keith. This book, I think it's the book for blokes in Australia who don't read books. I wrote it in conversational language, the way I speak, and I wrote it so that a bloke can just pick it up, read a little or a lot, and he can get some gold out of it, and it can help him in his journey in life. And hopefully it's got some real deal issues that we all have to face as we do the journey of life. Look,
and I know also because you've got a special passion for truckies, you've actually got your own voice on a CD too, haven't you, so that they can bang it in as they're driving?
Yeah, well, that came about because of blokes who work on the land and also that do long haul in trucks and just do a lot of work that they're in a vehicle, and they said, Watto, could you get your voice onto the book? And yes, we've got there. It was hard work for me, but if God can use me to write a book, he can use anybody to do anything he likes.
Look, just to recapitulate for some people who perhaps don't remember, the concept of Every Bloke's a Champion, Even You, really flows from all your vision, really, for the sheds and everything. What is it you're really trying to do for blokes?
Well, give blokes freedom to be able to be who they're created to be, in a safe, non-judgmental place where they can actually share their stories, not their whole life story, but actually get to be able to share whether it's a good or a hard or a happy or a sad bit, and we learn from each other. And it just brings out a man, gives us freedom.
Yeah. I want to talk to you a bit later about this business about a man's heart and some of the reluctance that's there. But are you finding people responding to the sheds?
Yeah, well, up at my truck yard, we'll get 150 to 200 blokes, and they come from every direction of life. Don't think that it's just for tradies and hands-on blokes. We've got a psychiatrist, we've got a doctor, we've got a police commissioner, we've got a top sportsman. All different areas of man come because they feel that they can contribute back into manhood. Aussie bloke's a good bloke, and he doesn't need a lot of fancy dress, bells and whistle stuff. He likes the real deal stuff, just to call it as it is and have a pretty easy night. And we try to have the night so that it's just low key, but we know where we're going with it, and it's helpful to each other.
So from the burger to the banter, you're really communicating that, which is important.
Well, as long as we cut out the BS factor, that's important.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Because an Aussie bloke, if he knows that it's we're getting a little bit preachy, or anyone preaches, or we're patronising, you know, we don't want to be there. But you know, a man, you can argue with a man's footy team, you can argue with a man's political bizzo, you can argue with a man's theology, but you can't argue with a man's story. And that's the goal when we can hear each other's story.
We're going to come back in just a few moments.
Twice a week. He came up to me at the end of the third camp and he said, Watto, you finally said something worth remembering. And I went, what is it? And he told me, I've never seen a bloke go backwards with encouragement. But since that time, Keith, that's what we want in Australia. We want encouragement. We think we're funny sometimes by knocking each other, but that's no good. We males in Australia, we need to encourage each other all the time, and you'll never see a bloke go backwards with encouragement.
Where have we gone wrong on this? Because we're becoming sometimes negative, haven't we, really? Well,
we've grown up with this toughen up princess mentality, and big boys don't cry and all that, and we think we're tough. And we've actually been conditioned to do life as males in our head. But in the love of the Lord your God with all your heart and all your mind and all your soul, one day when you go spiritually in your heart, what's that mean? That means passion and emotion. Come on, get it out of here. So when a man realises that there's a promise in the good book, I call it the work manual for successful living, Ezekiel 36:26, and it says that God said he'll take away the rocks from around our heart and give us a brand new heart. And you get to an Aussie bloke and you say, hey mate, all that stuff that's just bashed us and smashed us in the past, you know, the big fella said he'll give you a brand new heart. Spell it, get rid of it. And that's what's happening. So when a bloke gets to be able to courageously go into his heart and actually give his wife and his kids and his society his heart, mate, Aussie blokes, and it's happening. We don't skite about it. We're quiet about it because it's could be seen to be a bit wussy, but once you go into your heart as a man, you can't go back to the old hard-hearted head.
And trusting's important, isn't it? When guys come to your shed meetings, as bloke read this book, they've got to feel the confidence that they can trust you to be able to open that heart up.
Well, an Aussie bloke is shy. One-on-one, no risk, we're shy. No, my personality's a bit in-your-face type thing. But if an Aussie bloke, he'll work you out very quickly. And if he trusts you, he'll go straight deeper. Deep right down. He'll go deeper than a woman. And he's got no shame to get it out and sort it out. Because, you know, all over the country, we're love-starved. Fair income love. Men want to love a woman and be loved by a woman. And in my time, we've been conned. We've been given this impression of love, which is really lust. And you get to know that lust kills you. It kills you on the inside. And when you get a man who's love-starved and he's smashed in a relationship and he can't see children and things like that, and then he goes, I want to be real. It gets down to the heart. And the heart of man, look, your heart behind your head is a turbocharged man. And, man, I could tell you.
Ian, another thing that you say is that there are not two sides to every story, but three. What did you really mean by that?
Well, growing up, I had some issues with my dad. It was his only son. And when my mother, she died when I was 15, she was electrocuted, and I'd been really consumed by this lovely, fluffy mother-smother love, and my old man tried to shore me up, and, you know, I had some big issues with him. But so I went all through my life, you know, holding things against my father, who'd given me his absolute all. But, you know, when I actually got to trust God, and that took a bit because you don't really learn trust day by day in the society you live. I actually said, well, what was it like for my father growing up in all this issue? And so he showed me. My old man worked his guts out for me. So I always say there's three sides to every story, and you need to wait and hold back to let the other side of the story come out. And then, you know, if you get to the point of knowing that the creator of the universe blew the first breath into you, then you can say to him, so what's it like for the other bloke on this story? And then you see things in a totally different perspective.
And sheds is growing around Australia?
Bushfires, and it'll be under the radar, but one day when the big fella says, men of Australia stand up, we'll see 100,000 men stand up. And that's typical bloke. We don't need big fanfares and whatevers. We need a good feed, we need to be trusted in each other's company, and we need to know we're encouraged. Most blokes can sort out their issues if they've got someone they can sit down and have a good old chat with and a few words of encouragement, and that's happening. So, you know, I get to go to lots of places. Every week I get another request, can you come to Mount Isa, you can come to Darwin to help us start a shed night. Stevie Grace was up in Rockhampton on Tuesday night, and there were over 200 blokes in a shed, and they asked me to send 50 books up. Well, they ran out of books in 5 minutes because Aussie blokes want reality, and don't let anyone be misled by this. Aussie men want to love women and be loved by women, and we really want to get that right. And until you get the spiritual part of you don't get the full guts of what God's got for you in love. He's the giver of love, and if you want a fair income, love your wife and let her into your heart so you can be loved and loved, that's what it is.
Watto, I'm glad I have to stop you, because sit and talk all day long. You're always a delight to talk to, and I'm just going to read what you've written in the front of my book, which is the book of those words again. I've never seen a bloke go backwards with encouragement. God bless you as you keep encouraging others and lead them in the way of the kingdom of God. God bless you. We'll be back in just a moment.